Did you know this? So recently, according to the Internet Computer Today, in which they referenced something called sentiment, the Internet Computer was ranked #1 in the world in the last 30 days in terms of top 10 AI and big projects by development, in which case it actually scored over 100. But why is this the case? Well, I'll look into the hypothetical possibilities in today's video, but I first want to clarify nothing I say is financial advice, and I'm not telling anyone to do anything. This is just my personal review when it comes to this. Now, if I take a look at it, I think this, if anything, showcases that, hey, you know what? The Internet Computer is being more recognized when it comes to the space of AI. That's just the way to take a look at it. And something that's pretty telling, or pretty surprising, I should say, is the fact that the Internet Computer actually overtook, in terms of this category alone, in the past 30 days, it overtook something called Link, which of course is Chainlink's native token, and then it overtook something called Near. Now, let's just let this sink in for a second. Near actually makes up the largest percentage, the last time I checked at least, in terms of Grayscale's decentralized AI fund. I'm not joking. If we take a look at what Grayscale I'm referring to, I'm literally referring to Grayscale in terms of, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Ever heard of that? That one has over 100,000 Bitcoin, right? So I'm talking about that Grayscale. And again, if I take a look at Grayscale's decentralized AI fund, Near makes up the largest percentage in that. And then in the past 30 days, in terms of top 10 AI and big data projects by development, the Internet Computer overtook Near, according to Sentiment, which was a post again made by the Internet Computer Today. This is pretty legendary stuff right here, in my opinion. Some people don't think about this, but apparently that's kind of the case. Now, if I think about it, people like to say, but the Internet Computer Today, this is a totally separate thing than the official Dfinity account, which is true, right? Because this is not Dfinity, but the Internet Computer Today, it's not like they made up these numbers. That's not the case. What happened was they actually referenced it from something called Sentiment. So it's not like something they just made up like that. No, that's not the case. So sometimes people like to tell me, oh yeah, these numbers, what do you mean by that? It's not even the actual Dfinity posting this. But again, even though it's from the Internet Computer Today, not from the actual official Dfinity account, still even despite that, they are referencing Sentiment, which again, it's pretty impressive if I take a look at what the Internet Computer has accomplished as of late. Because if we think about it, okay, the Internet Computer, it overtook Chainlink, right? If we think about Chainlink, it's a pretty revolutionary project as well. We got to think about this. What makes Chainlink so special? Chainlink is not only, literally, right, one of the biggest projects out there, and I'm actually going to showcase the ranking in terms of Chainlink. Chainlink is currently ranked 14th in this world in terms of market cap within this space. But not only that, not only is it so massive, but Chainlink's use case is pretty legendary. If we think about it, Chainlink is very well known for its decentralized Oracle network. Now, what is an Oracle? Now, an Oracle in that case is basically a data feed that brings data from off the chain, so it's off-chain data, and it brings it over into the blockchain. But the thing is this, the reason why this is so crucial is because a lot of applications out there within this space, they literally need that data to function properly. Basically, they need that off-chain data. So then, of course, naturally, because there are so many, applications within this space, Chainlink, it just kind of went along with the ride where the use case, was very good, allegedly. So then a lot of people, or should I say a lot of projects used it, and it kind of just went along with the ride, right? But if I take a look at it, Chainlink, while it seems very impressive, the Internet Computer just takes things to a whole different level. Because if we take a look at it, allegedly, the Internet Computer can connect Web 2 and Web 3 without oracles. So let's just let that sink in. Chainlink, again, just like I mentioned before, it's ranked 14th in this world as of right now in terms of market cap. Its whole identity is tied to the fact that, it's very well known for oracles, right? But the Internet Computer kind of steps in and says, we don't really need to do that process. We can connect Web 2 and Web 3 without oracles. What the? So no wonder, right? I'm seeing how in the last 30 days, in terms of top 10 AI and big data projects by development, the Internet Computer was ranked #1 in the world, overtaking Link, or should I say Chainlink, and as well as Near. No surprise there, because imagine if, let's say, the Internet Computer can connect Web 2 and Web 3 without oracles, that basically could, in theory, make Chainlink somewhat obsolete. Some people may argue. It doesn't mean it will, because Chainlink has too much of a, following, right? It has too many partnerships. It's just too fundamentally sound. So I don't think like the internet computer is just gonna come in and overtake it. No, I don't think so, at least anytime soon. But at least if we take a look at the use case, it seems quite legendary when it comes to what the internet computer is able to do. And the fact that it's able to connect Web 2 and Web 3 without oracles, that's just kind of, basically saying that, hey, you know what? Why even have Chainlink in the first place? Don't get me wrong, though. I'm still very excited and I'm still a fan of Chainlink, but at the same time, it's quite, I think, surprising for me to see that the internet computer can even do that. Now, does this have mass adoption as of right now? No, it doesn't. And sometimes people like to say, well, if it can connect Web 2 and Web 3 without oracles, if that's so special, why can't it overtake Chainlink? Well, when it comes to this space, sometimes mass adoption could take quite a while. And, it doesn't typically happen overnight. So yeah, I think that's probably a major reason why. But at the same time, I'm just still pretty impressed nonetheless when it comes to the internet computer. Now, if I take a look at it, it's still around $2 basically when it comes to this project, again, the internet computer. So it hasn't really done much at all, ever since my last video, but at least seeing those statistics when it comes to this, seeing the progress report and the updates, that's what keeps me a little bit excited. And if I take a look at it, back in November of last year, this was at around $9. So we're over 4 times lower than that. If the internet computer could go back there, I'm already going to Sizzler. I mean, $9 isn't even that good anyways. Like in 2024, the internet computer was almost at $19. So actually $9 back in November of last year wasn't even that good anyways, but still we're over 4 times more than that. But even besides that point, if I take a look at it as well, this video is not necessarily meant to know exactly when things could recover. My intent here isn't to, draw a falling wedge pattern or draw some random triangles on a price chart. That's not my intent. My intent to make this video is to reflect how I think about this space overall, in a sense where I treat this like a marathon. I don't treat it like a sprint. So I'm not focused on when things could recover or the timing of it, because I'll never be able to figure that stuff out. So instead, what I do is I focus on the fundamentals, because to me, what usually I've seen in the past, right, what usually survives in the long term is something that has a good use case and good fundamentals. So that's what I want to focus on. I'm not focused on, when is this going to recover or when that is going to recover. That's not my intent, because if I pulled up a price chart and a random hypothetical, I drew some random triangles, do you think that the market is going to care about what I have to draw? No. By me drawing random triangles in a price chart, I'll never be able to know when things could recover. So instead, what I do is I just focus on the fundamentals and the update, and that's it. And that reflects how I think about it. This video is more so meant for, people out there who are more so caring about what's going on with updates when it comes to the internet computer. What's going on with it fundamentally? Is there anything going on? Basically like that, right? I'm not a trader, so I don't pull up a price chart and care about whatever happens every 5 or 10 minutes. My mindset is more kind of like, you know what, I'm holding, I'm waiting, that's it. But beyond that, I'm going to focus on the fundamentals and take a look at the progress report of a project that I'm a fan of, and literally that's it. I know it may seem kind of boring, but, I would rather focus on the fundamentals instead of pulling up some price charts, drawing some make-believe triangles, which, who knows if what's going to happen moving forward, right? We don't really know. A lot of people that I see that draw random triangles, they say, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, but then it doesn't. So for what? I don't want to do that. What I'd rather focus on is just what's going on fundamentally. That's really about it. And long story short, seeing how the internet computer today reported, basically according to Santiment, in which they sourced that, right? They got this from that basically. In terms of top 10 AI and big data projects by development in the last 30 days, the fact that the internet computer was ranked first in the world, overtaking Chainlink and as well as Near, I think that's pretty legendary. It also overtook Filecoin, surprisingly. Keep in mind, Filecoin, which was ranked 9th in terms of this chart, keep in mind, Filecoin also makes up a decent amount of Grayscale's decentralized AI fund. So we got to think about that. The internet computer, they've been making some moves as of late. Or should I say some developers have been caring about this in a sense. So yeah, besides that point though, I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very fantastic day. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.